Okay. Before we step into Momster Mash today, I want to acknowledge last week. We had a blizzard here. The kids were home. The house was loud. My full-time job became keeping everyone warm, fed, entertained, and regulated. And sometimes that is the only work that matters. So instead of recording, I read. And the more I sat with that, the more it felt intentional because the state of the world right now makes it imperative that we read, not just to escape, though we deserve that escape, but to sharpen our minds, to strengthen our discernment, to think in our own voices. We are living in a time where the narratives are loud. Okay, where fear is packaged and sold, where outrage moves faster than truth. And if we don't feed our own minds, someone else will do it for us. Reading forces us to slow down, to analyze, to question, to imagine, and to sit with discomfort. Reading opens us. It shows us what is possible in a world that constantly tells us what is impossible. And reading horror, that is something else entirely. Horror lets us look at the worst case scenario without looking away. It lets us examine fear safely. It lets us see monsters and decide whether they're supernatural, systemic, or human. When we read the supernatural, the uncanny, the chilling, we glimpse beyond the veil. We see societies crumble. We see possession, obsession, collapse. We see the absolute worst come to pass. But we also see who survives, who fights, who resists, who refuses to be swallowed whole. And that matters, especially now. Because horror doesn't just scare us. We've talked about this before. It exposes what we're afraid of, what we're avoiding, what we're becoming. And with this blood moon lunar eclipse, this 3/3 portal energy that we've been hearing about, this isn't about manifestation. It's about recalibration, release, removal, alignment, shadow work. Truth rising to the surface whether we like it or not, because eclipses don't add, they strip things down. They strip things down to what's real. And like life, real life, horror doesn't have to have just one voice, one flavor. It isn't one perspective. Horror isn't one style standing at the center of the genre. It's a cacophony of voices, a legion, if you will. Everyone thinks horror begins and ends with Stephen King. And listen, we love the king. We respect what he's built. All hail Stephen King, right? He's opened so many doors for us. But horror is bigger than one name. It's literary and surreal. It's satirical and biting. It's psychological. It's epic. It's quiet. It's brutal. We're not just horror readers, and we're not just horror movie watchers. We are consumers of the genre in all of its forms, from books to films, articles, folklore, urban legends, prestige slow burns, weird indie nightmares, campy, cryptid creature chaos. That's what we like. And if it explores fear, darkness, and the unknown, we're there. Because horror tells us something about the world we're living in. And it all comes back to this. What are we afraid of right now? What are we turning into monsters so we don't have to face them directly? What anxieties are bubbling up through the stories we consume? You can learn a lot about a society by the horror it creates. And every one of those stories begins somewhere. With an idea, with a short story, with an article, with a book. Recently, I read a book that got under my skin like few others have done in a long time. A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. And he is one of my authors that I recently just discovered. I'm late to the party. But I couldn't put down A Head Full of Ghosts. There were lines, there were scenes, and even the way it explored exorcism through the lens of reality TV commentary, chef's kiss, it just stuck with me. Even when the book was closed, it stuck with me. It made me think about how much we watch horror, how we consume it, even when it's layered with performance, spectacle, or social commentary. And that's part of why I love this book, because it creeps into your mind while you're washing the dishes, laying out your clothes for the next day, just living your day-to-day life, and it keeps tugging at you until you can finally return to it in the quiet of night. Back into the darkness, back into a story that just won't let you go. P.S. I'll be diving deeper into A Head Full of Ghosts alongside The Cleansing Hour in a future episode. So stay tuned. If you love that mix of horror and cultural commentary, I got you. There are so many writers doing this in different ways. Writers I want to explore in a little series that I like to call the Book Crypt. So some of the authors that I want to go through include Mariana Enriquez, Grady Hendrix, Dan Simmons, Bentley Little, Jack Ketchum, C.V. Hunt, Ronald Malfi, and of course, a couple of items by Paul Tremblay. Different voices, different tones, different kinds of darkness. And just to be clear, this isn't a rebrand. I'm not assigning homework. This is just one wing of the haunted house. Momster Mash is still about horror in all its forms. It's a little witchy. It's a little spiritual. It's always about horror, film, folklore, theology, history, weird internet corners, cultural fear. It's about all of it still. I just want to have just a place where we make space for the stories that start on the page and then crawl into something else. And you know what? I want this to be a conversation. So if you've read something that haunted you, if you've seen a movie that changed you, if there's a story that still lingers in your bones, reach out. Send me your recommendations. Send me your stories. Let's build this crypt together. You can always email me at momstermashpodcast@gmail.com, or you could find me on TikTok, slip into my DMs at momsterlolo, because not all horror screams. Some of it creeps, and once it does, it never really leaves. Thank you so much for listening to Momster Mash. It's a safe space for weird, thoughtful, wonderful, and unapologetically unique moms and everyone who vibes with us to explore horror, witchcraft, and all things strange. If you loved this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a little darkness in their life. And remember, the haunted house is bigger than any one corner. There's always more to explore. Thank you. Protect your energy.